Hey everyone, and welcome to tonight's workshop. Tonight we are going to be talking about 3 budgeting mistakes that I see people making and how to fix them. So I am very excited to be here. Let me know if you can see and hear me okay. And we are going to go ahead and dig right in. Right. So for those of you who are maybe new to my community, I am Sami. I am from A Sunny Side Up Life. This is just a little picture of me and my babies. I am a wife to my high school sweetheart, Daniel, and I am also a homeschooling mom to my 3 girls, June, Izzy, and Melanie, and we are from East Texas. So a little peek into our life. This is just kind of like in summary. This is who we are, who I am, and a little bit of like what we do in all of our free time and some of our financial goals, actually. You can see here, this picture is us with our first boat. It was the first thing that we actually cash flowed when we started out on our financial journey. And hopefully my internet connection is okay. Sorry if it gets a little bad. It's telling me that it was unstable. Okay. And this is actually the most expensive thing that we have cash flowed. This is our truck. My husband's truck that we cash flowed is about a $25,000 truck. So that was a really big deal for us. And just kind of through the years of how our journey has gone, a little bit of like what we like to do in our free time, which is camping, boating, just kind of spending as much time outdoors as possible in our free time. That's kind of us in a nutshell. I am also all over social media. So if you don't already follow me, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I have a podcast. You can check out my website. I am all over the place, constantly putting out free content for you guys and sharing as much of my life as possible. So before I really jump into the slides, I want to remind you to invest this time in yourself today and really soak as much of this information up as you can, because I know I was once at the beginning of my debt-free journey, and I know how valuable free information can be. So make sure that you have your phone on silent, that you're paying attention as much as possible. Grab a comfy seat, get a glass of coffee or tea or whatever you need. Make sure that you have a notebook to take some notes, or feel free to take some screenshots. I love to take screenshots when I'm watching workshops, just so I can go back and kind of review the slides later. So you are completely welcome to do that. So we are going to talk about the 3 biggest budgeting mistakes that I see people making and how to fix them. So you are in the right place today if you are tired of living in financial survival mode, which this is definitely where I started. If you want to budget, but you feel overwhelmed. Maybe you've tried budgeting in the past, but you feel like your budget is just missing something, like you don't have it 100%, right? Or you have big dreams and you're just not sure how to make them a reality, which is probably everyone. So today you are going to learn 3 of the biggest budgeting mistakes that I see my coaching clients making, and I'm going to share with you how to fix them. So we're going to talk about what makes a true budget. When I see people, when we start one-on-one coaching and they're like, oh, I have a budget already started, I'm going to kind of walk you through where a lot of people start and they think they're budgeting, but they're not actually making a true budget. And this could be one of the biggest mistakes that you are making. We are also going to talk about what is the best budget period length for you and how a monthly budget might not be the best option for you. And then we are going to talk about how many bank accounts you actually need. Along the way, I'm going to share lots of actionable tips and a lot of helpful examples. Before we jump into all of that, I think that it's really important for you to know where I started and how I got to where I am today. Because I think, like with any information, and I know that definitely when I am looking to people for support, coaches, mentors, things like that, I like to know a little bit of their background story. I like to kind of have them vetted, right? Like I want to know who I am learning from and why I should listen to this person. So for me, we started basically at what I call our financial rock bottom in about 2014 when it was time for me to have our second daughter, Isabel, who is now 7. And we were basically at this rock bottom to where my husband works offshore. He works off in New York and we're in East Texas. So he has to fly home for work. Even though she was a planned baby, we didn't have the money set aside for him to buy that last minute flight, which if you've ever bought a last minute flight, it's like $800 or $900. It's not something super cheap. He was waiting for me to like give him the go ahead. Hey, go ahead, fly home, right? And we ended up having to max out our last credit card for him to be able to come home for our daughter's birth. Not only that, we basically stayed at this rock bottom for 9 months or so before I kind of started to get us on a budget. And then it was nearly a year later before I finally got brave enough to add up our debt. The lesson that I took away from this was that I wasted nearly a year at this rock bottom, really just in the throes of depression, just having our bank account overdrawn basically every time a couple of days before payday. We had the electricity cut off. Like we were just really not doing great. And we lived it at this point for basically a year. And I think back now when I think about how much time we wasted, and that is a huge part of my message, is to just kind of inspire you to stop wasting time. And when I look back, my biggest regret is that I wasted basically that whole year that I knew something was wrong and not fixing it, right? And I don't want you to waste another day or another year of your life either. So when I finally added up our debt, it was nearly $500,000. It was really crazy. And then we really didn't know a lot about this debt-free world. We didn't really know that this was a thing. We didn't really know people who were debt-free. We didn't know people that were millionaires. Like this was not our reality, right? We didn't think that normal people actually could become debt-free. And over the years, we have learned through trial and error what really worked for our family. And that is a huge part of why I do what I do today with coaching other women and their families, right? And a business mentor once said that your ideal client is who you were 5 or 10 years ago. So everything that I do, every way that I show up with my free content on social media, to my paid products, to my coaching services, to everything that I do, I show up and I speak to that girl that I was back in 2014 when I was scared, when I was overwhelmed, when I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. And I speak to her, right? And I basically ask myself, what did I need then? And I go forward from there. Once we got to that point, we really got serious. We turned our lives around. We did a number of things, cutting back our spending. We sold our house. We did these crazy things. We moved from a 3,200 square foot house to a 600 square foot house. We did a lot of things. We also broke a lot of the quote unquote budgeting rules along the way. And guess what? It still worked. It wasn't perfect, and it still worked. We still made it out the other side. We were 100% debt free for about 2.5 years. And then we bought a piece of land. Now we are saving to build our dream house with a net worth of about $340,000. But my biggest takeaway is that your budget is not ever going to be perfect. So go ahead and just throw that out the window. Don't expect it to be perfect because it probably never will be. But sigh of relief, even if it's not perfect, it can still be successful. And I learned that firsthand. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect for you to make progress. All you really have to do is be brave enough to make imperfect progress and just go forward from there. So I said I would share 3 mistakes with you. So let's jump right into mistake number 1. Mistake number 1 that I see my coaching clients making is that they are creating a list, not a true budget. I've seen this time and time again that a list is not a true budget. So what I mean by a list is basically some of my coaching clients, about half or so, will show up with a spreadsheet that they've been using, or a list, on a dry erase board, and they sent me a picture of it that they've been using that has a list of their bills, the due dates, and the amounts due, which is great. And I used to do this exact same thing. Back when Daniel and I first got married, I had this massive dry erase board and I had all our bills listed, and I would put a little check mark when I would pay them off. And I thought that I was budgeting. But there were so many aspects that I was missing. I used to wonder why it wasn't working. And now I look back and I know why it wasn't working, because it wasn't a true budget. Okay. A list of your bills is not a budget. A list of the transactions after the fact, like after you've done all your spending and then you're going back and logging your transactions, that is not a true budget. Knowing how much debt you're in, that's not enough. Knowing your account balances, knowing what you currently have in your checking accounts and savings account, that is not enough. That is not a true budget. So if you've been doing these things and you're kind of wondering, like, I'm trying, why is it not working? It's because you're missing some of the key factors to a budget. So to make a true budget, you need to plan out your income, your bills, your spending, and what to do if and when there is money left over. And we're not doing this for just this payday, okay? I get paid tomorrow and this is how much my check will be. This is how much my bills are. It's not just that. It's I get paid tomorrow. What bills do I need to pay between now and my next payday? How much money do I need for spending? What do I need to buy groceries for the next 2 weeks or a month or however long your budget period is, which we're going to talk about how long your budget period should be in just a minute. How much spending money do I need? How much do I need for groceries, gas, restaurants, fun money, right? And then, is there money left over? If there is, what do I do with that money? We have to take that plan and then do that for the entire year. We have to plan ahead. That is true budgeting, okay, by planning it out like that. So doing income minus bills and spending equals your leftovers. And then repeating that payday after payday into the future. And so you know for sure when you're going to have money left over. And then you can start to make a plan for when you do have money left over. So if you have, okay, what if there isn't money left over? That's probably the question you're asking. Okay, yeah, that's all great. But what about when there is not money left over and I do income minus bills and spending and it comes out negative? So then you need to go back and adjust. Okay, can you cut back your spending? That's one of the first things we do just because it's easiest. But sometimes we've cut back our spending as much as possible. We're like, hey, I have a family of 5 or however many to feed, and like I have to buy groceries, right? Like I can't cut it back anymore. I have to get back and forth to work. This is my bare minimum gas money. What else can you do? Well, could you pay a little less on a bill? Sometimes we get generous, we round up on a bill. Especially if it's something like a car payment or a credit card, like we want to round it up, we want to pay a little extra. Or is there a little bit of a grace period? Could you actually wait another week or 2 on that bill? Sometimes like our cell phone bill or something, they have a generous grace period. Could we push it to the next budget period? Or if we're planning out all of these budgets for all of the budget periods a year in advance, we know in 2 months, I'm going to have a budget period that's negative. We can be prepared for that and we can plan ahead beforehand. So if in October we see, okay, I'm going to be $100 short, we can work backwards and say, okay, well, there's 4 paydays between now and then. I can set an extra $25 aside. I can be ready for it, right? Or something like that. Or could you go ahead and earn a little extra income? You're like, yeah, I could work a little overtime. I could sell some things on Facebook Marketplace. I could babysit someone. I could, go drive for DoorDash, could I earn a little extra money? But what if your leftover is positive? Like that's the dream. But a lot of times this is what trips people up more than anything, because when there is leftover money, it feels like something happened, like something got messed up, like there is a mistake somewhere. I shouldn't have money left over. And then we kind of get confused of what to do with it. Or we have like 5 different goals that we want to work towards. We want to pay down these debts. We want to save for these things. We want to do a whole bunch of things at once, and we're not really sure where to focus. This is something that I help my clients with every single day, determining what to focus on first. So we could send extra money towards debt. We could send money to savings if there's money left over. We could increase your spending, which is probably not a tip that you hear budgeting people talk about very much, but sometimes if there's extra money, maybe we want to go on a date night, or maybe we want to get our hair done, or maybe we want to treat ourselves to something nice. Or could we do a little bit of everything and kind of balance it? Okay, but when you have planned only 2 weeks or 1 month into the future instead of planning the whole entire year, even when there is money left over, you don't feel 100% confident using it because of all the what ifs. And I hear this every day with my coaching clients, where they're like, what if I calculated wrong? They're like, what if I need it, right? And they kind of just smother that money, and they just hold on to it. And they don't do really anything productive with it. That is not a true budget, okay? We're going to tell every dollar where to go. We're going to make a plan for it. So instead of wondering, what if I calculated wrong? Or instead of wondering, what if I need this money next month? Or what if I have an emergency and I need this money at some unknown time in the future? Well, if you've done a true budget, you won't have to worry about those what ifs. You'll know that you haven't calculated wrong. You know that you don't need it next month because you've planned the whole entire year. You know for sure if there are going to be negative times, you're ready for them. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And you don't have to worry about if there is an unforeseen emergency, because if you've done a true budget, you have an emergency fund set up, which is amazing. A real budget will give you the peace of mind when sending any extra money to debt or savings, because you know that you don't need it next month or a month in the future to pay the bills like you're planned. You know that you'll be ready for an emergency because you have an emergency fund, and you know that you're on track for things like holidays and vacations months ahead of time, because if you've done a true budget, you have a sinking fund, which is one of my favorite best kept secrets in the budgeting world, is a sinking fund where you are intentionally saving up for things like Christmas, vacations, new clothes, car maintenance, things like that throughout the year. And I teach my clients how to do that. So this is just a little sneak peek inside of my budgeting worksheets, the digital budgeting system, that if you've made a true budget, I know this is a little blurry, but bear with me. When you've done a true budget, you'll have kind of this budget at a glance at top, where it'll break down all the different categories for you. You've planned out your income, you've planned out your bills, you've planned out your spending. And if you were to scroll down, you would see sinking funds planned and savings planned as well. And then if you were to scroll over, you would see this planned out for the whole entire year. And this is a true budget, you guys. Okay. Mistake number 2 that I see people making: setting up a monthly budget and just assuming that a monthly budget is the only way to go. So a lot of the budgeting apps, and sometimes when you buy like ready-made budgeting worksheets, or you get like a budgeting planner or something from like Walmart, a lot of times they're planned out for a monthly budget, assuming that everyone needs to do a monthly budget. And that is just not the case. Some people, yes, everyone, no. Also, remembering that your budgets don't have to start on a Monday or a Sunday. They don't have to start on the first of the month. They are much more effective if you start your budget period on payday and run it until the day before your next payday. So how long should your budgeting period be? So say, for example, you get paid every other Friday. So on my little calendar here, say you get paid on January 6th and January 20th. Your budget period would run from January 6th to January 19th, and it would continue on this pattern for the whole entire year. Okay, take a screenshot of this if you need to remember, or pause real quick so you can jot it down. So if you're a one income household, then like I said, you simply start on your payday. Your budget period starts on your payday every single time you get paid, and it's that easy. But what if you have multiple streams of income? This is where a lot of my clients get a little tripped up. There are a few ways that we could go about it, so stick with me as I go through these different options. So you could follow the pay schedule of income source that brings in the most money and add in all the other incomes as they fall. So a good rule of thumb is like, which paycheck are you waiting for to pay the rent or the mortgage, like the big expenses, or maybe your kids' tuition if their tuition is really high. Usually those are like the biggest expenses that I see in client budgets. So if you're waiting on one, if one income earns more, if one is higher income, then just follow that schedule. Or option two, if the income amounts are pretty close to the same amount, which I've seen a lot with my clients, follow the schedule of the one that is more frequent. So say partner one gets paid biweekly and partner two gets paid monthly, you would follow the biweekly because it is more frequent. So if you're laying out your budget, like I showed a minute ago with the screen share of my budget worksheets, this column would have just partner one with their biweekly, and the second column would have partner one and partner two, and then you would kind of follow on that schedule. It'd be like every other one kind of thing. Every other one would have 2 paychecks. Option three, if the paydays vary throughout the month, if you work on commission, you work for tips, you work per job, and it's just kind of whenever, just simply do a monthly budget, run it from the first to the end of the month, and add in the income whenever it comes in, okay? And I would make it your goal, if your income is kind of irregular like this, I would make it your goal to get a month ahead. So especially if your income varies an extreme amount or your paydays are all over the place, I would make it your goal to get a month ahead. That way you already know how much money you're going to have set aside, right? So say you are paying like February bills with January money or whatever month it is, and just kind of follow that pattern. That way you know for sure how much money you're going to have, right? Option four, if you have a steady income, but you also have an irregular side hustle, just follow the pattern of your regular job and then sprinkle in your side hustles as they fall into the dates, okay? So the next step would be to go ahead and plug in your dates. Grab a calendar and fill in your budget period dates for the rest of the year, following whichever pattern you decided to pick. So if I'm doing this for a coaching client, I will just grab a notebook, I'll pull up the calendar on my computer, and I'll just start scrolling down and writing all of the dates. I also recommend that you use the whole late. So like my example before, if you get paid on January 6th and January 20th, to write out January 6th through January 19th. And that way it will help you remember what bills to include, because you're going to remember that it's all the bills and all the spending that fall within those days. So it'll help you remember like January 16th or whatever goes in this budget period, right? It also helps, little side tip, if when you are laying out your bills, if you're using my worksheets, this is what it will look like. If you lay them out in due date order. So sometimes we'll just kind of do a brain dump like this and we'll just throw them in like as we think of them. But then we'll kind of go back and rearrange in due date order. And this is the reason. Is so we can go in and be like, okay, this was the payday. Here's an example. If your budget period is January 5th through the 18th, then you could go in and kind of just pick these bills that fall within the date range. And then you could pick like any irregular, like weekly or non-monthly bills and kind of fill those in as well. And then you would just kind of put them into your worksheet. If you're using my worksheets, this is what it would look like. All right, mistake number 3. Mistake number 3 is only having 1 or 2 bank accounts. Okay, so I recommend having at least 5 different bank accounts and not really having more or less. Because if you have less, I feel like you're not optimizing your organization as well as you possibly could. And if you have more, which I've seen people have more than 5, you're overwhelming yourself because it's too many. I found through my years of experience that 5 is kind of that sweet spot, and I'll explain. So go ahead and take a screenshot of this if you've never heard me talk about this before. This is one of those kind of revolutionary moments that I share this with my clients and they're like, wow, oh my gosh, that is life altering. Sometimes they kind of get a little stubborn about it and they're like, I'm not having 5 bank accounts. There's no way. But I kind of do a little convincing and I explain it a little farther, which I'm going to explain to you, and they kind of get on board. So the basic flow chart here is these 5 bank accounts. The first 3 are going to be checking accounts and the second 2 are savings accounts. So the first one is your bills account. From there, that is kind of your hub. Like that is where your check goes into, is where you direct deposit or even manually deposit your check into. And then you will kind of do your transfers out from there. So think of this as like kind of your home account kind of thing, like the home room of the accounts, and then you'll transfer out from there. So why 5 and why these specifically? So the idea behind these is that only money for your bills will be in your bills account. Okay, these are things like, let's go back here, your house, your utilities, things like that. This is so you won't accidentally spend your electric bill money at a restaurant or a grocery store. There's nothing more annoying than waiting on an automatic payment to come out, or you've sent a check and they haven't cashed it yet. And you kind of have to have that mental checklist of like, what is cleared, what hasn't, what's still pending, what should my balance be, what do I actually have left in spending? You don't have to do that if all that's in your bills account is your bills money. Kind of the same thing with the spending. I recommend having a spending account, and go back to our flow chart here. That is basically just for groceries, gas, and restaurants. Kind of the same idea. You don't have to double check what bills have cleared. If you are going to the grocery store or a restaurant or going to spend some fun money or whatever, and you can't remember your account balance, you can log onto your bank account, you can see the total balance, and that's it. You don't have to scroll through and be like, wait, did the electric bill come out? Wait, did they cash that check? You don't have to remember that. You will just have that. Plus, you're a lot less likely to go over budget on your spending budget if spending is one of your areas of weakness, because when that money is gone, it's gone. When your spending money is gone, it's gone. You're not chipping into money that was already earmarked for bills. And then your sinking fund, I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier. This is for things like saving up for holidays, vacations, things that you will set money aside throughout the year for. I've seen this a lot with my clients. If they have this money mixed in, their money, like for Christmas, for example, they have it mixed in with their bills or their spending or their regular emergency fund or something. What happens? Something comes up, or they get undisciplined and they spend too much and they chip away at their Christmas money. It comes Christmas time and they don't have enough and they have to reach for a credit card or not spend as much as they originally wanted to. And then your savings account, this is basically so you won't overspend and unintentionally chip away at your emergency fund, right? We've probably all been there. So a little bit more about each one of these accounts. Your bills account is, like I said, where your deposit comes into. And this includes things like your housing, utilities, subscriptions, anything like that. And the best way to do this account is to have a debit card or even sometimes a credit card. Okay, I have seen this work for some of my clients. I personally prefer to do it as a debit card. The second account is your spending account, okay? And this is basically where you'll transfer whatever your spending allowance is. Say your budget period is 2 weeks. You're like, what am I allowed to spend for these 2 weeks for groceries, gas, restaurants, etc.? And you'll transfer that amount from your bills account to your spending account. And this can be done with a debit. This could be done with a completely separate credit card. This could be done also with cash. The third account is your sinking fund. And again, you'll transfer whatever you're supposed to transfer from your bills account on payday. This could include things like holidays, maintenance, vacations. And this is where you kind of will take, let's do Christmas, for example, because the math is easy. Say you want to spend $1,200 on Christmas. Throughout the year, you would set aside $100 a month, and then you would be ready for Christmas whenever it comes. But you can also do this for vehicle maintenance, home maintenance, clothes, your kids' activities. Like the list goes on and on. This can be done. I prefer to do it with a debit card. This could also be done with a savings account, or you could do this in cash. An emergency fund is your fourth account. So again, you'll transfer if you need to from your bills account on payday, but we want this account to be directly linked to one of our checking accounts. So we could do instant transfers for quick access, like those times when we're stranded on the side of the road, we need to call a tow truck, we need to, buy a last minute flight to get to a family member or something like that. We want to have quick access to this emergency fund. So this is best in a savings account, but it could also be in cash or a combination of both. I like to personally do mine in a bank account because I want to be able to have access to it. Like if I am stranded on the side of the road, I don't want my whole emergency fund to be in a lockbox at home, right? I want to have access to it through my bank, through my debit card. So I could just do a quick transfer from my savings account to my checking account. Account number 5 is the next goal fund. So again, we would set it up to transfer from our bank account, from our bills account. I like to have this in a high yield savings account. I personally use Ally for this, but you could use any of the other high yield savings accounts. Actually, so you can earn a little bit extra money while you are saving up for big things like any kind of large purchase, like cash flowing a vehicle or a down payment on a house or anything like that. Anything that is excess of your emergency fund, above and beyond your emergency fund. Maybe you're saving to have a baby or a wedding or a move or something like that. You could have this kind of above and beyond your emergency fund in a high yield savings account where you don't have instant access to it because it is like a 1 to 3 business days transfer time. But it's not completely out of reach like in a retirement account, right? You can still get to it, but you can earn a little bit of money on it. But basically, all of these things that I've talked about, I talk even more about in my coaching and in my course, right? So if you're kind of like wanting more, wanting to dig in more, I go way more into detail in all of my in my course and in my coaching. So you guys, I know that some of you showed up here today because you're tired of living in survival mode, totally been there. You're ready to start a simple budget. You wanted to learn some fresh budgeting tips, right? And of course, we all have big dreams and you're ready to start making them a reality. Please hear me when I say that there is a better way, okay? There is a better way than survival mode. I used to be there and now I'm on the other side, and now I spend all of my time, all of my days helping women just like you find the light at the end of their tunnel. To not waste another year. Like, remember I said at the beginning of my story where I basically wasted a whole year in survival mode, not knowing what to do, not having someone like me or resources like I offer my clients to help them get to that light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't have that, okay? And then once I did kind of figure out about budgeting, I drug my feet. I was so stubborn. I thought it had to be perfect, and it doesn't. And it's never going to be perfect, like I said earlier. And it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies. There will be ups and downs. But I promise you that with the right systems, with the right mindset, that you will come out the other end. Okay. I lived to tell about it. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. What I love most about my work is that it changes lives. Like I said earlier, your ideal client is who you were 5 or 10 years ago. Okay. I started with changing my own life and my family's life. And then I took that, bottled that up, and now that's what I help my clients do every single day. I get to change lives. And it is about so much more than just the numbers, okay? It is about the person behind the numbers. It is about the family behind the numbers. It is about the dreams and the values behind the numbers. You are so much more than your debt. You are so much more than your financial mistakes of the past. You are so much more than what your current net worth is. You are a true person with dreams and values. And I want you to see that, because that's what I see. Okay. This journey is about feeling confident. It is about taking control of your life and doing something about it. It is about being able to breathe between paydays. The reason why I love budgeting so much is actually because I don't want to think about money all day long. People are really shocked when I say that. If you budget properly, you don't have to worry and think about your money all day long, every single day. You get to actually breathe between paydays. You sit down on payday, you do your budget, you check in 5-10 minutes here and there, between paydays, and that's really it. You don't have to stress about money every single day. You get to live your best, most abundant life. I showed you the pictures at the beginning of me and my family traveling, camping, boating, cash flowing trucks. You guys, that is living my best, most abundant life. That might look a little bit different for you. When you are actualizing your dreams, that might look like starting your own business. That might look like switching from being full-time to being stay-at-home parent, or getting back out into the workforce because you built up your confidence. That might look like starting a nonprofit. That might look like traveling the world. That might look like retiring your partner. That might look like retiring your parents and letting them come live with you and helping to support them, or sending your kids to college. It can look like anything. It is about actualizing whatever dream you have in your heart. And it is also about the trickle down effect that it has on your family. It's not just about you, and it's not just about your numbers. It is about your partner. It's about your kids. It's about your family, your friends, your coworkers. It's about everyone that you come in contact with, and letting that trickle down to that positivity and that empowerment help them too. So you guys, if you have been waiting for the perfect time to start, like I told you, I stayed in that survival mode and I wasted over a year of my life that I could have been getting intentional. If you've been waiting on someone to light a fire under you, give you a kick in the butt, this is me doing that right now. Now is the perfect time to start. Now is as good a time as any. I already told you that it's not going to be perfect, so don't expect it to be. Now can be your time to start. Okay, now can be your time to stop living in survival mode, to take control of the situation, to get serious about your money, get serious about your goals, and start chasing those dreams and actualizing all of those dreams and desires that you have in your heart, and to start enjoying your financial freedom. Okay, you guys, this motivation and this fire in my heart is why I created my course, Your Sunny Money Method, back in 2017. My course is almost 4 years old, and I've had, what does it say? 275 women have been through this course. That is insane to me. So many lives changed because of this course. Well, I recently completely updated my new course. This is the new version, and it is all ready for you to join the hundreds of other women who, from all around the world, all different walks of life, different ages, different income levels, different countries, different goals, dreams, and desires, who are working together and changing their lives in your Sunny Money method. Okay. This is the newest version of it. So your Sunny Money method is basically a self-paced budgeting course with the simple method for family budgeting, whatever your family looks like, whether that's 10 kids, whether that's only fur babies, whether you're 50, whether you're 20, whether you make 30,000 or 300,000, it doesn't matter. It can work for you. It has been designed for the overwhelmed woman who wants to help her family break free from financial survival mode. It is designed for the woman that I used to be, okay? It is short, actionable lessons. There's no fluff. It's not wasting your time. There's nothing in there that you don't need to hear. It is basically all of my budgeting knowledge bottled up into one nice, neat little package. If you've ever thought, I would love to pick Sami's brain about this question or that question, or I wonder what Sami would think about this, it's all in here, you guys. It is all there. If you are going through this course and you're like, I wish you would talk a little bit more about how to decide when to save and when to pay off debt, it's in here. Or I wish she would talk a little bit more about in depth of the sinking funds, which sinking funds I need, it's in here. What order I should pay my debt off, it's in here. How to start investing, it's in here. What spending categories do I need? It's in here. All of it. It is in here. Okay. And there's nothing that's in here that's a waste of your time either. We follow these same topics and strategies that I teach my one-on-one coaching clients. We go in the exact same order. That was a big part of why I wanted to update the course, was to go in the same order that I've been coaching my one-on-one clients with, except it's in a self-paced package, because sometimes we can't financially commit to a one-on-one experience. Sometimes we don't have the time to commit to a one-on-one experience. With this course, you can go at your own pace, okay? You can take the course in the middle of the night while your kids are sleeping. You can listen to lessons on your lunch break. You can listen to it, on a Sunday afternoon, like whatever works for you, okay? And all of the questions you need are in here. There are 5 basic key modules: how to organize your money, how to prepare for the entire year. If you've heard me talking about that and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I do that? I will show you how to do that in this course. How to take action on each payday, how to grow your wealth, and how to enhance your mindset along the way. Plus, there are 3 bonus modules with resource tutorials that you can't find anywhere else, on-demand workshops. If you love this workshop, I have other workshops that I've done in the past, and the replays are in here where you can't get access to these anymore. There are other helpful videos in here, like more of how to start an IRA, how to talk to your partner, how to talk to your kids, like different things like that. You can find all of that here on this replay workshop, which you will find in the replay email, the link to it, right? So you can find all of that. If you are watching this on the replay page, you can scroll down and you'll see those offers right below. You guys, what I love most is that my clients are getting motivated. They are breaking free of the overwhelm. Like this client said, I got started today and I feel much less overwhelmed trying to do this with a friendly face. Like on these videos, like you might have seen here, let's see this one right here with these both. I do screen shares while I set up the worksheets. I do in video. I do video with the slides. So you are not there doing it on your own, right? I am there doing it with you. Or this client who said, I just want to thank you again for the motivation. I feel like I'm finally making progress on this journey and will be able to pay off 2 of our credit cards in 1 month. That's another one of those, stop wasting time. You could have 2 credit cards paid off in 1 month like this person, right? This person filled out my end of the course survey and they had so much good stuff to say, but my favorite thing was they said, this is the first thing that has worked in our entire 7-year marriage. That's insane. You guys, there are so many more testimonials from amazing women just like you that are seeing the results, that are taking control, that are breaking free of the overwhelm. You can read some more of them on the replay page. Scroll down if you're already watching this on the replay page and you can read more of them. So this is your invitation to stop living in survival mode and start living your dreams, okay? My clients are changing their lives and achieving their dreams, and I want you to be a part of that. You can also get my worksheets. So you saw some screen shares earlier of my worksheets. My worksheets are included in this course as well, which is a $20 value. Plus, I mentioned earlier that we follow the same topics and the same structure that I follow in one-on-one coaching, which is an over $500 value. Okay, if you can't afford to financially commit to one-on-one coaching right now, or you don't have the time, the course is right for you because you are going to get so much value out of it. So this course is about a $580 value. Insane. And on August 21st, the regular price is going to be $297, okay? But if you are to purchase before August 21st, you get the early bird discount and you can save $50, which is so exciting. So you could pay in full and you could pay $247, or you could split it up into 3 monthly payments to make it even easier, and you could pay $93 a month. One more testimonial I have to share with you guys is my girl, Christina. Christina is just living her best life. Follow her on Instagram. Just go check her out because she is living her best life. Christina took my course a couple of years ago. Like I said, my course is 4 years old. She was one of my very first coaching students in the course. And she said, I'm so incredibly grateful I found Sami and tried her course, Your Sunny Money Method. I was going through a divorce. She is a single mom of 2 boys, had credit card debt, loans, and was completely overwhelmed with the stress of handling the finances as a single mom. She had never done the budget in her marriage. So when she had her budget, once she went through the course, she had her budget set up, she had her bank accounts organized, and she was even able to pay off 1 credit card by the time she finished the course. The great thing is this course has been around for so long that I've got to follow up with some of these amazing students. And Christina actually wrote this testimonial a couple of weeks ago in my Facebook group, or a couple months ago, I'm sorry, in my Facebook group, where she said, I've been dreaming about writing this post for the past couple of years, crying happy tears right now. Today I paid off my credit card. $20,000 worth of debt is gone. Actually, Christina is due to be completely debt-free sometime in August, so any day now, which is amazing. You guys, all of the tools that you need are available. The answers to your questions are here in the course. The motivation that you need to keep going is here in the course. The support that you've been looking for, it's all here for you. They're waiting for you and your family whenever you are ready. So you can check this out, check out the replay page. You can see the links. You can read more about the course. Of course, you can always email me. So reply to any of the workshop emails if you have any more questions about the course, if you want to make sure that it's right for you. I'm always here, happy to answer. And I hope to see you guys inside of the course soon.